Hello class. Today our lesson is on Chapter 5. The lecture is on Strategic Management and Corporate Public Affairs. Now these two concepts, I'd like to define them here for you. They're both found at the very top part of the organization. And this is usually in large organizations, or at least medium to large organizations. Strategic management is the overall management process that allows the firm to focus how it's going to be positioned in the marketplace. We talk about strategy of what to do, what to measure, how to get there, relative to our competitors, to customers, to material suppliers, and so on. It's the big high-level picture of what we're doing, where we're headed. Corporate policy or corporate public policy is just one small sliver of that. And what it deals on, or it focuses, is on the public, ethical, and stakeholder issues that the firm faces, dealing with the public, how it is perceived ethically, and how it is going to deal with stakeholders. Now there are some key questions. The first is, what is the role of our organization in society? What do we do for society? For example, what does HEB do for society? Or what does Toyota do? They both, HEB provides a service, groceries and so on for feeding people. And of course, that's changing a little bit. Now they're selling other products. Toyota, they provide vehicles. And how is our organization perceived by our stakeholders? I'd say that both of, HEB and Toyota in San Antonio are perceived very well. I'd say probably HEB more than Toyota. Toyota's had some missteps with quality lately and some recalls, but overall, Toyota is a very respected brand. And then you ask, what are the principles or values that the organization represents? With HEB, you see community involvement, you see high quality, good service. With Toyota, you also see community representation, you see high quality and other aspects like that. The next question, key question, would be, what obligations do we have to society at large, including the world? Well, with HEB, you would like for them to serve safe food. You don't want to buy food that has poison in it, or is dangerous, or spoiled, or is going to make you sick, cause cancer, or anything like that. That's probably the prime thing with HEB. With Toyota, you want to have cars that aren't going to break down at any moment. That are safety, that don't have some issue, like a few months ago, or even a year or two ago, is a sticking accelerator. And it turns out that really Toyota's vehicles didn't have sticking accelerators, that some of those were just charges brought against the company. But they addressed it, they looked at it, they treated it. So that's a very ethical response. The last question is, what are the broad implications for our current mix of businesses and allocation of resources? And this one here is more of a strategic decision, and that is to take a look at what it is we're doing, how do we have resources, and how is that going to affect our organization. Now, there are manifestations. This means that you will see that an enterprise is looking at its public image. One is having a code of ethics. The other one is a code of conduct. Mission statements. You look in the mission statements and you can see important things about the way the organization is moving. And very related to mission statements are value statements. Value statements can also be seen as corporate creeds. Creed almost sounds religious, and it has something to do with very deep values. Vision statements are very similar to mission statements. And then maybe moving a little bit down in the organization, you have policy-oriented codes and statements of we will do this and we will do that. They're more specific rather than the big vision thing. I'd say that probably codes of ethics and codes of conduct are also policy-oriented codes. They're a little bit lower level compared to the mission, values, and corporate creeds. Well, one of the first things we need to do in an organization to see where we are, what we're going to do, where are we headed, and so on, is to do a social audit, which is a systematic attempt to identify, measure, monitor, just to take a look and see and take stock of an organization's performance with respect to how it's doing with social efforts, with goals, and with programs. Now, the part of the organization that will be involved with this, and this is a very high-level part of the organization, is public affairs. And it's the management processes that focus on the formalization. That means that it goes into writing. They think about it very much before they put it into writing, or it may go through various edits till you finally get what you want. And it institutionalizes corporate public policy. And public affairs embraces corporate public policy, issues, and crisis management. What happens when somebody gets shot at our schools? Well, the president brings out public affairs and they take a look at the crisis. There's also governmental relations. Is how are we going to deal with the government? We know that the government regulates us or is looking at us for, to regulate, but we'd like to also have a response to that and deal with what the government is doing. And we do that through corporate communications. And that deals with government and with stakeholders, both external and internal. Now, this table here is very long, and I'm not going to go through every bit of it, but I want you to take a look at the top 3 items: federal, state, political, and look at the percentages: 95, 85, 83. That's the percentage of companies that engage in that. And you move down to number 5, local government relations. And then you have business trade. There's coalitions, so they're organizing with other companies that do similar business. Probably when you look at the very bottom, what you're taking a look at is employee communications, is what they communicate to the inner part of the organization, and that is just a little bit under half. So we know that public affairs, their activities are dealing externally, and probably the largest amount of their activity has to do with dealing with the government. That's what I would take away from this chart. Please take a look at it, memorize it, because it just might be on an exam. Now, what are the tools and techniques that can be used by an organization? One is environmental monitoring, taking a look, scanning what's going on out there outside of the organization, working with the grassroots of people that work with the organization and building up constituencies. You may also do some advertising that deal with issues, not just the product that you're selling, but with issues. We are for quality. We are for being a safe company. We are for serving the community. We are for, when Ford says that it's working with environmental concerns, that they're cutting down on the environmental impact of their vehicles. You can believe it, okay? Then there's lobbying, political action committees, and so on. Anyway, you can go ahead and take the whole list of these things, and these are the tools and techniques for not only looking at what's going on in the community as far as auditing, but also setting up your policy and communicating your policy to government and to the community at large.